Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Lexi Alm, and I'm an Associate Director in the Admissions Office at Clark, and I am your moderator for today's Career Connections session for our Clarktoberfest webinar series. Thank you all so much for spending time with us today. We're really grateful that you could join us. I have some wonderful panelists with me today, but before I introduce them, I'm just going to give you a quick reminder of how to use the technology for today. I know that many of us are becoming ever more comfortable with Zoom as a platform, but the webinar platform does have a couple of features that we're going to be using today to engage. So you've just done a great job using the chat function, which is hopefully the last time you'll need it, because that is where we're going to use only for technology issues from here on out. So if you can't see or hear us, or you're having any other technical difficulties, feel free to let me know in the chat, and I will do my best to help you out. If you are going to ask a question, so if you have a question for one of our panelists, we will be taking Q&A at the end of our session today. So please use the Q&A feature that should be either on the bottom bar of your screen or up on the top bar, depending on if you are on a PC or a Mac. So hover around and see if you can find the Q&A feature, and feel free to drop questions there. You can drop them in at any time, though we will have some prepared remarks first, and then we will start to take those questions for the latter half of our program. So feel free to leave those for our panelists. And without further ado, I'm going to have them introduce themselves each briefly here, starting with Michelle. Go ahead, Michelle.
Hi, everybody. I'm Michelle Flint, and I'm the Director of Career Development.
Wonderful. And Inange?
Hi, everyone. My name is Inange. I'm a senior here at Clark University.
Wonderful. Thank you. And Will?
Hi, everybody. My name's Will. I'm a junior studying English and Community Youth and Education Studies.
Wonderful. Thank you all. So we're going to hear more from Inange and Will later in the program while they talk about their experiences through the Career Connection Center. But to give you a bit more of the lay of the land here of what our Career Connection Center is at Clark and how you might utilize it should you come to Clark, Michelle is going to give us an overview to begin. Go ahead, Michelle.
All right. So the Career Connection Center is really 5 offices in one. And you can see them here on this slide. There's career development, employer engagement, on-campus student employment, opportunity funding, and Clark Connect, which is our mentoring platform for students and alumni. And so having these all under one roof allows us to really do first year to senior wraparound support and programming for all of your career needs. This, which is also available on our website, is a broad overview of where students go, where they are about 6 months after graduating from Clark. And you'll notice that we have a higher than average rate of students going on to graduate school. And this is in large part because about 30% of every class takes advantage of the accelerated degree program. And just in case you're wondering, right now we are actively working with the class of 2020, as well as the upcoming class of 2021, to help them achieve these same post-grad outcomes within 6 to 12 months after graduation. So we're working with students after they graduate in a very intense and supportive way. So a detailed look shows our students at nationally known companies across industries, and this is just their first job. So you can see a lot of companies that you probably already recognize. And similarly, our graduates go on to really top tier graduate programs, as well as a wide variety of law schools and medical or health related schools. So how do we achieve that? Well, first of all, we have awesome students. And second of all, we offer a wide range of programming and support to help them figure out where they're going and to get there. So that includes individual advising, events practically weekly all year long, and then direct connections to alumni, employers, and mentors, as well as a suite of on-demand digital 24/7 career resources. Our goal is to surround your students with opportunities and resources every step of the way. On this slide and the next slide, you'll see some of the events that we're offering. This is basically a screenshot from our calendar for the fall semester, and you can see basically weekly events in a wide variety of topics. So you've got career discovery, you've got industry insider prep events, you've got how-to webinars, and on the next slide, you'll see this is an image for our upcoming fall career fair. This year, we've really made a new and improved focus. We've really increased our focus on diversity, inclusion, equity, and sustainability in our program. And you can see there, our fall career fair focuses on that theme, as does a lot of the prep programming leading up to it. I also want to call out one of our most powerful career tools, and this is Clark Connect. We basically explain it as LinkedIn for Clarkies. It is a platform where alumni can sign up to mentor students, to chat with them, or to offer opportunities exclusively to our students, internships, and even jobs. And it was launched just 3 years ago, but we already have over 6,000 users. And I basically recommend this tool to students every time I talk to them. It's an incredible advantage that students have with this small, tight-knit community. And all of that together means that helping your student design an incredible life after Clark is not as heavy a lift as it may seem.
Thank you, Michelle. So now I imagine you are eagerly awaiting hearing what this looks like in practice. And so we're going to hear now from Inange and Will about their experiences, both utilizing the Career Connection Center, but also with the internship experiences that they've had recently. So Inange, would you like to introduce yourself fully and talk a little bit about what that was like for you?
Sure. So just to talk a little bit more about myself, like I said before, I'm a senior here at Clark University. I study psychology with a minor in biology on the pre-medical track. I'm involved in multiple organizations here on campus, such as I'm the captain of the women's varsity soccer team. I'm on the executive board for the Black Student Union, as well as the Caribbean African Student Association. I'm on the executive board for the President's Advisory Council, my apologies, as well as being a One Love facilitator. And just to get into a bit about my experience, so I'm from Prince George's County, Maryland, and this summer I had the ability to intern at the Maryland Department of Health, and my job was that of a health equity intern, specifically within the Office of Minority Health and Health Disparities. And I was able to participate in this internship through the Clark Connect Internship Award. And essentially how that worked was I actually applied for the Barth Award, but I did not get that one. But instead of, not receiving any funding at all, the Clark Career Connections office really worked with me in order to still receive funding, which was very helpful for me, especially, right now in the pandemic. I would have had to work some sort of like waitressing job or something like that, which isn't very safe right now. So, just the stipends that I've received through Clark have allowed me to apply for unpaid internships, which I normally wouldn't be able to apply for. So basically, my job this summer was working within the office. I got a little bit of a taste of everything. I was working on grant writing. I developed a cultural competency programming to be used within the department. I worked on health equity conference planning. So those are like the big things. And, this opportunity just really kind of solidified my passion for public health. And kind of looking in the long term, now that I'm a senior, I'm currently applying to Masters of Public Health programs. So those are 2-year programs. And then after that, I plan to matriculate to medical school.
Thank you. And Will, do you want to talk a little bit about what you have experienced?
Yeah, sure thing. I had a very similar experience with Clark Connect. Actually, before I continue, I know that my mic is a little staticky, so apologies for that. But I want to say Yeah, my experience was very similar. I too applied for the Barth Award. Um, and when I heard that like I wasn't going to be able to get funding for that, um, I was a little disheartened. But then Clark Connect was like, well, we can give you funding through this program, which I was very happy to hear, because it was like right during the pandemic. I definitely needed it. So I really appreciated that. And then throughout my internship, I was able to talk to a um, alumni mentor. For my internship, I taught drama with a local organization, Main Idea. I taught it over Zoom. This was the first time that we'd ever done anything like this, so I was really on the forefront of trying to develop a curriculum that would work for students over Zoom. So it was really helpful to have that mentor there to help me, like, just bounce ideas off of what could work over Zoom and what couldn't. It was just another level of support there. And then also I did over the summer a program that just helps me to talk about my internship a little bit more professionally, which is really helpful for me because I don't know much about that kind of stuff. I'm still kind of working on it, but it was very helpful to have that side of career development too, just to be able to talk about my experiences in a professional way, in a way that people who would be looking to hire me would want to hear, stuff like that. So yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you all again for being here. My lovely panelists are now at your disposal, audience, for your questions. So while your questions are coming in, I've had a few questions pop into my head that I would love to hear them answer to start us off. But while we're taking these first couple of questions, please feel free to put your questions in the Q&A feature, and I'll remind you to use that Q&A feature for your questions moving forward. We will not be using the raise hand feature, so you don't need to raise your hand to ask a question. Just put it in the Q&A. You won't see it right away, but I promise I do. And I will be selecting questions to answer live. If we're unable to get to all of your questions today, we truly want to answer them, so please reach out after the fact so that we can connect with you and make sure that you get all of your questions answered. But please feel free to put those in the Q&A feature now. But in the meantime, I think as I'm listening to Inange and Will tell their stories, a question for you, Michelle, has popped into my head, which is, can you talk a little bit about funding for these opportunities and how that looks, since they both had similar experiences with different types of funding, and how does that process work, and what types of funding are available for students?
Oh, yes. I love talking about this. It's very exciting. So a lot of our students are interested in the nonprofit sector and the government sector, and a lot of those internships that are out there are unpaid. And that's just the reality of the world right now. So our office we have several funding sources for different kinds of summer opportunities, and it's competitive. Students need to apply, and in addition to the ones our offices manages, we also have on our webpage, we are listing other opportunities that are scattered all across campus. And so we went from 4 to 16 just over the course of 1 year, collecting them and inviting academic departments mostly to showcase what they have on our page. So students know if they don't get our funding, or if they don't qualify for our funding, they can go to the political science department or the history department or so forth. And it's just made it so much easier for any given student to know what all the possibilities are on campus. So I'm very excited about that. And it allows many, many students to pursue projects and really commit themselves to them fully that they otherwise might not be able to afford to. So it's something I'm deeply involved in. And this summer we did a lot of work to adapt the whole process to the pandemic. So we allowed remote opportunities, which we hadn't in the past, and we supported students if they had to do their opportunity in person to figure out how to do that safely. And there were a few of those. And then for students who had their opportunity canceled, but who had already received funding, we helped them to adapt or find another opportunity. So we really, gave the student the benefit of the doubt to help them out. And another thing that we do, which connects to the LEAP curriculum, is that one of our funding sources specifically funds self-designed LEAP projects over the summer. So a student, often it's a capstone for their major, and they conceive of an idea and they say, hey, I would like funding so I can study this, and they get a faculty advisor, and so that's a really great opportunity that's kind of unique to Clark as well.
Thanks, Michelle. And if any of you are wondering, what is this LEAP thing that we're talking about? We
Mhm.
did a wonderful session last week on LEAP, the Clark curriculum. So it stands for Liberal Education and Effective Practice. And if you'd like to see my lovely face on another recording, you are welcome to check out that session on the Clarktoberfest website. We do have a recording of that session. Now, to kick off a question for Inange and Will, I would love to know kind of how you see the experiences that you've just spoken about impacting your kind of future career planning. So how might these be a preparatory measure for you, or how are you going to connect them to the next thing? Go ahead, Inange.
Yeah, just to speak to that, this summer I was able to work with kind of a variety of people within the Department of Health at, in Maryland. And that really gave me the opportunity to see kind of what avenue of public health I was interested in. And, all of my, my coworkers were really open to talking about their career paths, which was very helpful for me. Also through the Clark Connect Internship Award, I was matched with a mentor who was a Clark alum, and she's a public health professional. So, speaking with her over the summer, we actually have a pretty close relationship now, but she was able to kind of help me navigate that as well. And after my internship, I decided that clinical epidemiology was kind of the best route for me. So that's now my focus, applying to Masters of Public Health programs. And that will be my focus in the future when I apply to hopefully combined MD, PhD programs.
Thanks. And Will, go ahead.
Yeah, for me, this was just like the actual internship helped me a lot in terms of just getting more experience with teaching youth, building relationships with youth, especially, in cases where there can be so many hurdles, like building relationships over Zoom through theater was a really tough challenge that I didn't really like. I went into it kind of being a little bit of a naysayer, being like, I don't really know how I'm going to be able to do this. But a lot of the practice that I had with after every session meeting with my supervisors and being like, okay, this is what worked, this is what didn't, this is what we can improve. That's really going to stick with me when it comes to hopefully teaching in high school or teaching in other environments where I'll have to have maybe different hurdles, but like still have to have that same like evaluative process of like, oh well, this is what worked, this is what didn't, this is what I can do to connect with my students better, stuff like that. And also the over the summer thing that I did with Michelle was very helpful for just being able to talk about my experiences. We worked on something called the elevator pitch, which was really, really helpful for me. So I think that'll also stay with me too, just on the more like professional side of like figuring out how to present yourself and how to be hired and stuff like that.
Awesome. Thank you. And a follow-up for you, Will, out of curiosity, what does theater look like over Zoom?
So we did a lot of improv based stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We had to like go through and select different improv games and figure out, like, oh, well, this one like definitely couldn't work over Zoom because you kind of need people in person for it. But like maybe this game would work. Like there's one game called TV Channels, which works really well over Zoom because we all have these little squares.
I'd imagine.
Yeah. So like we it's just a matter of like tweaking it and stuff like that. And also a big thing is also just finding different ways to communicate too. Because it's not as simple as just like the camaraderie that you get from being in a room and doing stuff together. You have to work through a lot of like technical difficulty stuff. You know, we had to make a lot of like accommodations of just like, oh, well, if we can't hear you, we're going to use the chat for this game. And just like trying to find different avenues of connecting with people that isn't just like the standard, like what you would usually expect from a theater group, which is like in person, you know, face to face. Yeah.
Sure, thank you. All right, let's get into some audience questions and keep them coming. So I'm going to pose this first one to Inange and maybe Michelle for a follow-up, depending on what Inange shares. The first question is about biotech biology-related internship opportunities. And I know you've had a couple of different opportunities, Inange, that you might want to share about, or things that your peers in the kind of biology sphere, as I know you have some personal experience studying in that area, have had as well, would be great.
Sure. So I'm not too knowledgeable on the biotech sphere currently. I do bet that there are plenty of internships out there for biotech. That's not necessarily my area of expertise. I would say most of my experiences have been within the realm of public health. I had one obviously at the Maryland Department of Health and another one at the Worcester Division of Public Health. So it's cool to, you know, have that difference. And then the internship that I currently have right now is at, it's on campus. It's at the Mazikowski Institute for Public Enterprise, and that one is more based around social psychology. So I can't speak to biotech, but I will say that if you're interested in research, specifically biology research, it's really easy to get involved with research on campus. I was in a biology lab my sophomore year, and for the first semester, it was a volunteer experience. And then for the second semester, I was brought on as a paid undergraduate research assistant. So that was a really great opportunity just to be able to, you know, participate in both a biology lab and a psychology lab, kind of, you know, dabble in everything, see what I'm really interested in. The professors here are really open to having undergraduates in their research labs, which is kind of different from other schools in that sense, especially liberal arts schools. Since we're a liberal arts research institution. So that's a really great thing to get involved in.
Thank you. And Michelle, I'm not sure if you have anything to add about biotech in particular. I know Worcester is a great spot to be for biotechnology, but feel free.
Yes, it's actually a really great spot to be because, you know, Massachusetts is becoming a real biotech hub. It's already a strong presence in Boston, of course, but what's happening is that Boston's getting too expensive. And companies that want to build new facilities are building them out here. In fact, there are 2 or 3 large facilities that we're in the process of breaking ground right before the pandemic hit. And so it's slowed down a bit, but it's still happening. And we have been actually partnering with the consortium, the other colleges and universities in the area, to talk to these companies and make sure they're interested in talking to all of our students. And we, my colleague, the director of employer engagement, brings speakers, both alumni and other, in biotech several times a year to the campus to talk to students. And it'll be virtually this year, but we've definitely got our eye on biotech because this is the spot to pursue it.
Thank you. I had a feeling that there were going to be some great options coming down the pike.
Mm-hmm.
So the next one, I think, is probably going to be a question for Michelle again, but Inange and Will, if you have experiences to contribute on this one, feel free to jump in as well. But this is a student asking about, I believe, more about the kind of career advising, and is it the same team of people over the course of an internship or job search process, or are you working with different people as a student looking for is it who's available in the office? How is that organized in the Career Connection Center?
Oh, sure, absolutely. Okay. So we have, mostly you're working with the same person all 4 years. Our advising model is by division. So all of the social science students see one person. That happens to be me. All of the STEM people see one person. All of the econ management people see one person, and all of the arts and humanities people see one person. And if you're a first year and you're undeclared, you can go to the person who is in the division you think you're probably going to pursue. Or if you're split across two majors, for example, we have a lot of business, psychology, dual majors. You can see either of us depending on which one you feel can help you more, or whichever one you start with. So for most career questions, you're going to see that same person all the way through. And so there's a lot of continuity, and I'll develop a relationship with someone that I've worked with 3 or 4 times and really know them well. And that's very much on purpose, because relationships are important. We have a couple of services that are handled by a different specialist. So if you want to talk to someone about on-campus employment, we have a specialist for that. And we also have a team of grad students doing most of the first round resume reviews through our online portal. But otherwise, you form a relationship.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So next up, we have a question about the 5th year master's program. So for those who may not be familiar, Michelle touched on it briefly in her outcomes piece. The 5th year, we call it, it's an accelerated 5th year master's that we call the advanced degree program, or sometimes affectionately the 5th year free, because it can be tuition free if you are eligible for the requirements of the program of your choosing. And the asker is wondering if either of you are considering the 5th year and what is driving that decision. I believe Will at least is. So Will, do you want to give us a response to that question?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'm definitely thinking about the MAT program, which is the Master in the Arts of Teaching. It's for urban education. I've been thinking very heavily about that since I was applying to colleges. I kind of went in thinking like, oh, well, this might be a really, really good program for me. And I'm not gonna lie, the more I learn about it, the more scared of it I am a little bit. It's intimidating. But one of the things with like this internship that I did, and some other projects that I'm working on at Clark through Clark classes, is that like it's kind of like showing me like, I'll ask a lot like, am I able to be flexible enough to be a successful urban teacher? Am I going to be able to do this well? And a lot of internships are really helping me kind of already build the skills that I'll need for that. Maybe not as like much as I'll like need going into the program. Like I'll probably still go into the program and have moments where I'm really struggling, but this sort of preparation with internships like the one I did this summer, with some of the classes that I'm taking at Clark, I think will really help me be a successful teacher. So yeah.
Great, thanks. And just to let everyone know, we do have an upcoming Clarktoberfest session on the 5th year, so you can hear from current 5th year student and some of the 5th year advisors among our faculty. If you're interested in hearing more about our 5th year offerings, one of my colleagues will be moderating that one, so you can tune in to hear more about our 5th year programs. They are no joke to do a master's degree in 1 year, but our faculty are wonderful about advising broadly, as are our career advisors, so that you have your 5th year Clark programs in the options for post-grad, but there are many options for most students, and many students will pursue potentially a Clark program and several others as part of their options after graduation. And our faculty and career advisors are great about helping our students to prepare in a really dynamic way, which I would imagine is part of why their placement after graduation is as high as it is. Coming up next, I think we'll start with Michelle. I'm gonna kind of combine a couple here for you. Talk a little bit more about the services that are offered. So we have one question that is asking kind of more about the number of postings. So how many postings there are for internships and jobs and things like that in a normal year. And then also, what are some of the unique hallmarks of the Career Connection Center that you might not find everywhere?
Okay, so I heard three questions there: services, postings, and what's unique about us. I think I'll start with the last one. What's unique about us? That Clark Connect portal is amazing, and the connections that are made there are life-changing, really. And students can use it from A to Z, from just considering what are my options, you know, what's teaching really like, right? Is it what I think it is, right? To getting insider resume reviews, to getting leads on unposted opportunities, as well as posted, right? Our alumni post opportunities to big name brand companies with slots reserved just for Clarkies, right? Lots like places like Google and HP, right? Companies that are very hard to get into otherwise, and they get an insider bump. So that's really unique about it. The other thing that I think we do really well is our office, we're not the only career support on campus. We are building an ecosystem of career support across campus, where our office works very closely with faculty advisors to make sure that the students are getting asked the right questions when they need to be asked. And academic departments are hosting career events with our support. And so we really are trying to just saturate the student experience from day one with opportunities and support everywhere. So I think those are two really important things that we do very well, and I'm very proud of. In terms of services, basically whatever you need. So we do, and if you go to our website, the Career Connections Center website, you'll see sort of broad brush all the things that we offer, from the very broad, what am I doing with my life, right, to the very specific, how do I prep for this interview, right? Is my resume good enough? How do I find a, you know, it's a pandemic, how do I find a position right now? Really A to Z. I see myself as a facilitator for you. If I don't know the answer, it's my job to connect you with someone who does, right? I'm a generalist, and I know I have a very good process, and it's my job to connect you with alumni, with employers, with faculty, with other students who will have the answer to very specific questions as I don't. Twice in the last 2 weeks, I've connected a sophomore I've been advising with a senior who just had the kind of internship that they wanted. And I said, let's get you two talking so that maybe you can give the sophomore advice on how you got that internship. So you basically ask me anything, and I'll either answer it or find someone who can. We haven't talked a lot about grad school here, but grad school advising is part of that process as well. So many of our students go on to grad school, and figuring out, what do I choose? How do I get in? How do I apply? The two things we don't do a lot of in our office are pre-health advising and pre-law advising, because we have really incredible faculty who specialize that, and so we refer out and partner with those folks. In terms of postings, so right now our campus is a handshake campus, and that's a very good thing, because that is the largest campus job board in the nation. It is a job board specifically for employers who are seeking students and recent graduates for opportunities. And so Handshake levels the playing field. It helps us get access to employers who might not otherwise have the resources to recruit on a very small campus, right? So Boston University and Clark University get the same postings. And that's very important. So on Handshake, we have, 5,000 to 8,000 postings at any given time. It goes up and down during the year. On Clark Connect, we hope to get 400 to 500 internship postings every spring. Those are alumni seeking Clarkies. And then in addition to that, the other thing I help students do is find those industry-specific job boards that have really special opportunities that might not be on the big, broad, general job boards. And so I'll say, okay, You're interested in working in GIS. The best job board for you is this and this, right? Or you're interested in you're in the 3-2 engineering program. You really need to be using this job board. And so, in addition to the 5,000 to 8,000 postings on Handshake, which are sort of a little of everything, I also will point students in the direction of a job board that is all you all the time. And that's just, and so the number then is less important because they're all sort of in line with what you're doing.
Thanks, Michelle.
Mm-hmm.
And Anange, you have something to add?
Yeah, I just wanted to add to that. I personally am a person who loves a second opinion. So, you know, when faculty and staff are in their office, I'm all over campus. Like, whether it's like, you know, the fellowship office. Right now I'm working on a fellowship application, so I'm always, you know, talking with them, or the study abroad office. I receive funding for unpaid internships through the Multicultural and First Generation Student Support Center for 2 different internship opportunities, actually. Like Michelle said, I speak frequently with the pre-health advisor, my own faculty advisor, and, you know, they have always had the ability to connect me with, you know, just someone they know. They're like, oh, you're interested in social psychology? Here, you should email this person. Oh, you want to do epidemiology? I have a friend at this school, you know? So it's like, there's always those opportunities out there. It's just a matter of you taking advantage of the resources that Clark has to offer.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks. That was a great way to underscore exactly what Michelle was talking about, which is that that network of folks to help on campus, and that there really are people that can help you to access these opportunities all over campus. And there's funding opportunities available all over campus, and internship opportunities sometimes right under your nose. And so you can really maximize those experiences. I want to point out quickly that both Michelle and Anange mentioned our pre-professional advising tracks, pre-health and pre-law specifically. There is a Clarktoberfest session coming up on those 2 advising tracks, where you can hear from those advisors and a student who is in one of those programs, if you are interested in learning more about that. So if that piqued your interest, know that there's more to come on that as well. And I'm going to wrap us up here with one final question. And this is one that I like to ask all of my panelists on these sessions, and that's more in the vein of advice for kind of college applicants that are looking at schools. What kinds of things do you wish you had known as students, for our student panelists, or wish that you had asked about in your college search, whether it be in a kind of career connections vein or not? What kind of advice do you have for our applicants who might be listening? And then also from Michelle's perspective, what kind of advice do you have for students who want to maximize their opportunities when they get to college? And I'm happy to have any of you start, so feel free to jump in or let me know if you're ready. Go ahead.
Okay, I can start.
Yeah.
For applicants specifically, I would say during my application process, I wasn't necessarily picky about, you know, the region of the school that I went to, the size of the school, things like that. I kind of applied all over the place. And I would definitely say I got lucky in terms of choosing a small school in the end, especially for my career track. If you're pre-med, choosing a small school is so important, just because, you know, if you're thinking about, you know, getting letters of recommendation from professors, it's not going to be as beneficial if you're in a lecture hall of 400 people in your intro chemistry class versus a class of 50 people. And then, you know, you get higher up in the major. And right now I'm in a genetics and disease class that has like 15 people in it. So, you know, you're able to build those connections more easily, you know, with your professors. And it's just really easy to get in touch with staff members that you need to talk to. So my biggest thing is I'm really happy that I ended up at a small school.
Thank you.
Yeah, I would say me too. And in addition, not just building like connections with like the professors and the staff, but I think for me the most important thing has been the other Clark students around me. You know, I would have never looked into, you know, the Clark Connect internship funding. I would have never looked into my internship if it wasn't for like other students around me that were doing this stuff. And we're like, hey, Will, this might be something you're into. So yeah, to touch on your second question there, I think, you know, for me, the most important like way to learn about these opportunities and the most important like way to engage with this stuff is to engage with other students and hear what other people are doing, and hear what works for them, and then go from there. Um, and that's also why I'll say, you know, I agree. Going to a small school was the right decision for me, just because I had so many of those connections that I could make, even with like people that like I didn't really know very well, but I would like see them in a lot of like other classes. I'd be like, oh, maybe that's somebody that I should talk to a little bit more about this. And that's really, you know, what's gotten me to do like any opportunity here. It's just been what other students have been talking about. So yeah.
Awesome, thank you. And Michelle?
Yeah, so I really am proud of what Clark's doing all across campus to help prepare students for life after Clark and connect them to opportunities after Clark. I really love being a part of what's happening right now, and I think you will too. Once you choose to come here, my advice to you is come see us early. We absolutely want to see you in your first year, want to see you in your second year, so you can figure out what it is you want to do, and then we have a couple of years to line up internships and other opportunities so that you are well on your way by the time you graduate for where you're headed.
Thank you. The theme that I am hearing across the board here is connection, and our Career Connection Center is aptly named that we really want to help foster those connections for you. That network of support on our campus is, I feel, what makes us as successful as we are in placing students after graduation. I think it is all about those supportive network of people and those connections that our students are able to make with each other, with alumni, and with faculty and staff on campus. It really helps them to see themselves in a potential career and make the connections necessary to get to the next step that is right for them. And so I hope that we've illustrated what some of those connections can look like for you today. And I want to thank all of my panelists again for being a part of this session. I think that they have been a wonderful insight into this topic for us. And thank you all as our audience for being here today. We really appreciate you spending the time on this afternoon. It's afternoon here, might be evening or morning where you are, but thank you so much again for being here. And we hope that you check out more of the Clarktoberfest programming that is to come. We've still got most of the month of October left for you to explore and to take advantage of the other offerings. So we hope you have a great rest of your day, and it was wonderful to have you.